welcome you to Tales from the Trails, where our podcast focuses on how businesses use technology and Salesforce to multiply the value they bring to their clients, partners, and teams. Duncan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ken.
Yeah, so if you don't mind telling the audience what company you work for and what your role is in that company.
I'm Duncan McEntyre. I'm the Vice President of Sales Operations at a company called Blueprint Equity. We are a private equity firm investing in B2B SaaS solutions. We were founded in 2018 and have done about 12 investments over 2 funds. And my role in particular is working on the funds, the funnel, the pipe operations for the fund, and working directly with portfolio companies.
Awesome. Okay, so for our audience that are listening, can you really explain what private equity is for those of us who don't know?
Sure. So a private equity firm manages investment funds, and a fund is effectively a pool of money that's been raised for a specific purpose. And that purpose is to buy equity stakes or percentage of a company's theoretical value into companies that fit our investment thesis. So you've got a company, we agree on the value, we purchase a percentage of that and invest in your company.
Awesome. Okay, so how did you get started in this line of work?
So actually, before private equity, I was working in car sharing, and the skill set there was a hybrid between operations and sales. And then effectively the skill set, which was dealing with processes and people and a lot of data, very serendipitously fit perfectly with an opportunity in private equity that has since turned into a career.
Wow, that's great. So it's just something that you just fell into, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So a part of our thesis is that every business and organization has a mission statement or something that they're trying to bring to humanity. Can you tell us what your mission statement is?
Well, we're an investment company. Blueprint invests in highly scalable B2B and tech solutions. Our mission is to add growth capital and resources to already successful businesses so they can continue their growth.
Awesome. So what strategies does your company use to set you apart from your competitors?
So there's 2 things. Our operations team, which I'm part of, is a big part of that. My focus is on top of funnel. We've got resources that do headhunting and talent search. We've got resources that are doing AI initiatives, budgeting, KPIs, finance, everything under the sun. And the second piece is our outbound sourcing team is excellent. And we're getting in front of what we believe to be the best companies for our space in North America.
That's great. So what are some of the challenges that you often see at a private equity industry, and how do you guys overcome them?
So that's a great question. Getting into the right companies is the whole thing. And we obviously understand that business leaders have a lot of better things to do when your company's on fire growing. There's a lot of better things to do than talk to a bunch of knucklehead investors. And so we're very understanding of that. So that's a big challenge. And the other one is that it's never easy to grow at the speed that we want you to grow at. But we believe that our experience and our operations team are going to increase the chances of success there.
We have spoken earlier, and I understand that you touched on this just recently, but you have different people in your operations team. So you guys actually provide a lot of resources for your companies. Is that correct? That they can go to you?
Yeah, of course. So the resources are like often the kind of things that when you're a growing company or a smaller company, you have not yet gotten to the point where you have folks that are dedicated to these things. And so a big part of it is help to fill the top of the funnel, help to find resources as your company is growing, and then anything and everything you want to do on top of that, including support with finance, budgeting, KPIs, all the sort of nuts and bolts that need to get sorted out when your company is growing and things are wild and crazy in that regard.
Yeah. So do you guys have those people on staff, or is this something that you guys can contract out?
Yeah. So we work directly for the company. I work at Blueprint. Candy works for Blueprint. Connor works for Blueprint. So we're all there. And every day I work with portfolio companies. We all do.
Yeah, so very hands-on. I love it.
Many people say that they have that, and the reality is that we are that, and I'm here to tell you living proof that that's the kind of work that we actually do for the companies that we're invested in.
Yeah, that's great. I'm sure that really makes you a lot more attractive to the companies that are looking for these like private investors that have a lot of people that are interested in what they have to offer. So I think that's great.
Yeah, we think so.
Yeah. So I know that you guys are currently using Salesforce. Can you walk me through why you guys decided to use Salesforce as your main source of truth and what you guys were really trying to accomplish by moving over to Salesforce?
Yeah, Sheldon and Bobby chose Salesforce before I got there, and it was really focused on because it's the most customizable and has the most integrations with other software products that works with our tech stack, which has lots of different products in it. And the other part of it is, again, we're a small organization and it was a big universe of companies that we were tracking over time. And so the idea was to have a very functional CRM that's both going to manage the scale and a very long sales cycle for us in our business.
Yeah. And so how have you seen that happen? Is it helping grow your business? Have you seen improvements in your business since moving over to Salesforce? I know it was implemented a little bit before your time, but I'm sure you're really involved with the growth of your company.
Yeah, so it's a good question. And the sort of nuance for me, Kat, is how we use these tools and how we work as an investment company is very different from an operating company. And so for us, the sort of the value gets extracted over time. And so some of the ways that I think that have been really helpful for us that I'll talk about today is leveraging the custom objects, custom flows, custom fields. As we've unlocked those things in Salesforce, it's made significant value for us as a small group of people trying to track a lot of different companies with a mission to try and find companies to invest in over the next 2-3 years, et cetera. So specifically, we use custom objects to help us solve timing issues, helping us solve territory management. Flows and fields at a sort of complex level have helped us to manage rules of engagement, more territory mapping, bespoke reporting, a lot of things help us extract more value out of Salesforce than it has as a product you get off the shelf, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. The fact that you're able to really sit down and customize it specifically for your type of industry and business is huge. And I know a lot of CRMs don't really offer that. I'm glad that you touched on this, that you guys really operate differently than a industry just primarily in operations. What are some integrations that you guys use in conjunction with Salesforce that you guys are able to use because you have that capability with Salesforce?
So I can't tell you specifically, but we have email automation tools and we've got other tools. Most of the stuff that we use is pretty standard. But the bottom line is you have different tools performing different functions in your sales funnel. And those tools are going to spit out data. And if that data can integrate into Salesforce, I feel like a bit of a cynic, but I've always felt that no integration is completely perfect. And that can be for a myriad of ways that they have just more reality than anyone's fault per se on any of. I'm rambling, but it's just not perfect. And so the value for us in particular is unlocking that ability to customize. So as I've listened to other podcasts that you've done, the common sort of thread is that everybody's business is different and we're no different. And you need to be able to customize this. And I think one of the things I want to talk about today is Salesforce. I've never found particularly user-friendly as someone who's not particularly technical, and which I think probably represents a lot of small and medium-sized business users. And what's cool to me is Salesforce, I looked at the market cap yesterday and Salesforce is valued at $214 billion. And what's cool about this is, and that's absurd. And it's this incredibly democratic product where Blueprint uses it. We've got maybe 10 users. Banjax uses it. You've got 50. You've got clients that maybe have 600 users. And everybody's got the same keys to this Lamborghini, this $214 billion Lamborghini that's the size of a cruise ship. And so the sort of learning for me as I've worked with Banjax is if you have the budget, you have the ability to go and create a meaningful solution for you in-app, the value gets unlocked. And I've been in Salesforce for 6 or 7 years. And in the last year, I think about it differently because of the projects that we've done with you guys. And so that's a big part for me.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. I mean, kind of putting it in that perspective, I've never really thought that. You're absolutely right. Everyone who has Salesforce has the keys to this amazing product, no matter if you're 2 users or like you mentioned, 600 users. So I think that's a really great way of looking at it.
Yeah. The way I think about a CRM is like you treat it like you would your house. There's some stuff that you can do DIY. And if it's cosmetic, you want to paint a fresh coat of paint in the kid's bathroom, no problem, DIY to save a couple of bucks. But you never go into the basement with a wrench and start messing with the electrical or the plumbing. And I feel like you look at your CRM the same way. And for a long time, I was always just too shy to call a plumber. Oh, guys, it's going to cost this much. Who knows? And the experience of working with you guys is like, because we actually went through the process, the value gets unlocked incredibly quickly. Every dollar that I've spent with consultants in Salesforce has turned into an investment that has reaped value immediately. And so the sort of learning for me is go step over dollars to pick up pennies. There's some things that you hire pros for, If
Yeah.
they're going to significantly increase the value of your home or your CRM, that's where you bring in pros. And when you do that, a bunch of things I did with you guys, I probably could have Frankenstein myself, and it would have been the biggest mistake of my life. Evangelist for hiring pros to make significant tools or apps within Salesforce for you.
Yeah. And that's where you guys, you have other things going on. You're doing other things for your company. A lot of people don't really have time to really figure out, learn the process, do all the setup, and then really do it the right way. And then you see a lot of the times where they've made a mistake or the workflow is not firing off at the right time. And then they have to go back, and then you look up and you're like, okay, I've wasted 2 weeks. Haven't got anywhere, and you could have just reached out to a partner, your partner, and we probably could have knocked it out in a couple hours. But I do love seeing companies that really employ their employees to do some of the admin work, because it does help you learn the system, and it does open that Pandora's box of like more capabilities that you can do, and it really can expand your functionality inside your companies.
Exactly to that point, the learning for me, especially working with consultants, is if you can invest the time to really conversation with your consultant, say, this is what I want to do, and this is why, and this is how this is going to fit in a bigger picture, it's really helpful. And I know with my experience with Banjax, I was briefing my rep on something, and he came back and was like, hey, I got a couple questions, got on a call, we had a conversation. And in that conversation, he said, do you think that you might want to do X? I can see we're going to do these things. Do you think you might want to do X, Y, and Z at some point in the future? And I was like, absolutely. And he's like, I think we should build a piping like this. It's going to be maybe an extra hour or two on the job, but it's going to save you. Like when you get there, there's no job. You just upload your data and it's going. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, thank you.
Yeah.
And so having that relationship and having folks that giving your consultants the best chance to help you, a big part of that is showing them the big picture. And then the last thing I'll say is, in the process of working with you guys, is you'll talk about projects, but along the way, I got to see and understand so many things about Salesforce just in the process of working with and talking to the reps. That was immensely valuable to me. That's my piece there.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so what is next for you guys? Where are you hoping to see yourself in the next 12 months or even 5 years?
I think we've been really fortunate so far in our history, but it only really adds more pressure to continue to bring them, to keep, finding great deals and working hard to help companies in the future. And I think our sort of goal, short or long term, is to continue to help entrepreneurs realize their goals and significantly scaling their businesses.
Yeah, I love it. Well, Duncan, thank you so much for joining us today on Tales from the Trails. I would love to have you back here sometime.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.